This is the Broodcast on Poets at War, Inkling-style Discord chat, last Friday of every month. And now, the Broodcast.
Y'all popped in at the exact same time.
Oh,
Hello.
hello, Kirith.
So what's going on, Alex? Whoa, fancy jacket.
Thank you.
Combined with the hat. It's a very contrasty bit of style going on there.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Hello,
Hi,
Kirith.
Tristan.
Hello, Tristan. Good to have y'all joining in.
I could be digging a hole, but I'm not going to dig a hole at a campsite. I will probably be in and out of frame, moving back and forth. So just
not a problem. I know you're usually active doing something during these.
Generally. I did not get Tale of Rasia to a readable state, the last half of it.
It's all right.
So
it's all right. So what's been going on with the sunshines?
Not much. Brendan's been working on something for tonight, and sounds like it's been going pretty well. So
good.
Cool.
When he's talking to his computer a lot in a positive sense, that's a good thing. It's very obvious he's talking about it one way or another, right? You can tell how well it's going. There he is.
I'm here.
Hello.
Greetings, mortals from the realm.
Your wife said it sounded like what you were working on was going well.
Well, I finished it. It is a very rushed thing, but it is finished.
It feels like majorly day for rushing in general for a lot of people. I got like 12 sequential stills done and put out the Sea Witch today. But like that wasn't the plan. But I did a lot. So it was the plan was to start making more per day. And I crushed my previous record today because basically all I did different was I woke up, I walked at 6 o'clock like I normally do, and then everything until noon was sequential stills. And I still got everything done.
Wow.
So it's like I have this amazing like energy in the morning that I didn't realize how much it was. And now it's like, okay, well, do the thing that I need to do most. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What was your previous record?
I want to say like 6, and I did like a dozen. So I about doubled it. Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. And I did it all by 10:30, and then the rest of the time was animating and rendering.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was finished rendering around 1 o'clock. So.
Cool.
Yep. So I was pretty pleased with that. What's been going on with y'all, Brendan?
I didn't get as much work done as I would have liked. Like work as far as like, I mean, I got some stuff set up that I finished everything I needed to do for the week, and then there's another project that they put on my plate that I can't do until I get slides, and I haven't gotten the slides I need yet, so I can't really finish that project anyway. It'll be a lot easier, as I hear my son. It'll be a lot easier to do that once I have that. Hi, Tristan. It's like, why is Dad on the screen? Yeah, no, it was fine. It's just like it's not. I didn't get as much done, and then I was looking around, and I figured out that I was doing like all that progress I made on the little armored knight guy.
Yeah.
I realized all of it should be scrapped because because the model that I was working off of, while it is like technically the correct, like, oh, this is just the skin. I looked at the clothing version, and the clothing version has the clothing as a separate thing entirely, and I'm just like, so what? So now I'm at the point where I'm looking at this, going, I don't want, because I couldn't make it look good. So I'm sitting here going, do I just spend like some money and have some dude on Fiverr take this base mesh and make the armor on top of it? And that way I don't have to deal with it.
Watch out,
It's
Alex.
suddenly not
Behind
my problem. You are being attacked.
Being thumped with a cane. I don't know.
Not quite thumped, just close.
Gently tapped.
No, he hasn't even tapped me yet.
So
Gently.
not touching.
I think he knows better than to do that.
Oh boy. So I put Peter and Hazel's costumes in the Facebook chat. Casey just sent me pictures of the final. They're Sonic and Amy Rose from Sonic the Hedgehog.
Cool.
So that's fun.
Very cool.
Yep. Oh boy. But yes, we are. I don't know if anyone else is coming in tonight. We'll see. I'm trying to think. Was there anyone who said that? I think Stephanie said she might pop in. I forgot what Abigail said. She said she wanted to share.
If I remember correctly, Ian Wilson said that he had something to share.
And then Daniel Reed said something at some point, but...
Oh, yeah, he did. But he didn't have anything to share, but he would probably hop in.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Happy All Hallows Eve, everyone. Happy pre-All Saints Day.
The weekend before, all that good stuff. Yep.
Yeah.
Boy. So...
What is happening the 30th? Oh, yeah, that's what's happening the 30th. I had an association with the day before Halloween, and I was trying to figure out exactly what was going on then. Apple has an event going on.
Oh, okay.
That's what it was.
Gotcha.
So.
So we have... Kirith, do you have something you're sharing, or are you just hanging out tonight?
I might actually share something, but I don't know.
Okay, so maybe.
Maybe.
Gotcha, okay.
He is doing lots of work in progress stuff.
Right, gotcha. And then, Brendan, you have something, and then I have something. Mine is showing people video. Did any of you see it early, or no? Because I did post it.
I did not.
Okay. You're waiting to see it here.
Yep.
Want the live reaction.
I was going to try to set up I have that what do you call it? The Roku stick thing with my computer.
Project Piper?
Well, no, not Project Piper, just the Roku stick, so that I could just cast it to a webcam source for sending it through to people. But the problem is I would have to unplug. Hey, Daniel Reed.
Daniel.
What's up, man? I would have to unplug my webcam and plug that in, and then go through all the stuff. It was very janky. I'm getting a dock soon that is going to expand my I/O on my laptop. But that's the next step in Project Piper. So, anyway, how are we doing, Daniel?
Pretty good. Y'all are going to have to keep me on track if I'm going to stay on here. I'm going to be studying as we talk a little bit.
Okay, well, start studying and just listen.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Are you going to share tonight or no?
I don't have anything to share it with.
Hey, Abigail.
Okay. Hello, Abigail. Alrighty then.
Abigail gave me some good ideas, but we didn't really get anywhere.
That's okay. No problem. No problem.
I just don't have time.
All right, then. I think we have everyone, unless the Wilsons show up. Now that we're at this point. So that's good.
I'm going to shut camera off and mute, but I'll still be hearing you guys, and I'll try to give feedback when I can. But the light is basically gone over here, and I have no way to get other light. So
Okay. All right, you'll figure it out. All right. So, who wants to bat lead off is the question.
A quick question: how long is this going on for? Because I got an exam due by midnight, and I gotta give myself at least an hour.
Go when you need to go, but we kind of just go. We don't really have an ending. Usually, it ends up about an hour and a half, but it just depends.
Okay, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Everybody's hiding.
Everyone's hiding because they're like, oh, I don't want to be first.
I don't want to be first. I can be first.
Okay.
I can be first.
Okay.
It's fine.
If you wanted to wait for the Wilsons, that's fine. See if they show up. But
I was kind of hoping that I would get their reaction, but it's okay. I can. Either way.
Okay.
It doesn't matter to me.
All right. Well, if you want to start us off, we can get moving.
Okay. I guess I'll start you off then.
All right.
Okay. So, this is going to. I decided I wanted to try to work on the Shattered World, which is the war game thing with the mushroom, same universe as the Mushroom People and the Beast Riders that I shared before. This is supposed to be the flash fiction for the. It's just called the Lost Army of Dreams. So, all right, here we go. Also, hopefully this isn't too long. It's only about 2.5 pages, but it's 3 pages. I lied. So hopefully it doesn't drag on.
Also, I have to unmute and unmute 2 things, so I'm just gonna use my Switch. Sorry for the pop.
Okay, I didn't hear a pop, so there we go. Here we go.
And you know me, I didn't hear anything.
Okay. Ryan slouched over his desk, staring wearily at his mess of notes in front of him. He had graduated at the top of his class. He had published his groundbreaking thesis on the connection of the Draconic language with the language of the Nephilim. He had even secured a position with one of the top Golomotive and Magitech innovation companies because of his knowledge. And yet he had made no progress on the strange symbols that lay before him. The company had sent him out to an island they discovered in the Northern Sea. The island to him was no more than a glorified rock, with no vegetation or wildlife to speak of. Yet despite this, a ruined stone castle crumbled atop it. The sailors who brought them refused to stay, and rather circled a few miles from the shore. They wished just to return and leave the expedition to whatever ill fate awaited them, but they needed the money. Yet now the sailors and their superstitious views were far from Ryan's mind. As thunder rumbled outside his tent, all he could do was stare at the symbols before him. He had tried every combination of archaeology, anthropology, morphology, linguistics, and even mythology that could possibly be used to decipher the old text, and yet of these none pierced the carved language. What if it isn't a language? The intrusive thoughts seeped in. He shook his head as if to shake a hair out of his face. No, it was definitely a language. It was both a pattern and not a pattern, with irregular repetitions and a flow of sorts. He sighed. Look at it again. He stared at the pictures. No, the real thing. The thought wormed its way like a tentacle of an octopus he saw in a museum once. Grumbling, he stood up, wondering since when was his mind in charge of him. Sleep would have to wait. The climb to the castle wasn't long, but the wind made it worse. His waterproof boots apparently couldn't keep all of the cold and damp out after 2 weeks of constant barrage. His cloak wrapped tightly around him, he made the climb quickly, crossed the enclosed courtyard, and descended the stairs into the heart of the island. He flicked on his Magitech torch, and letting the magically generated flame guide him down. He had walked these stairs many times. A left turn, a right turn, down a hall, and through an archway to a small room with what appeared to be a closed stone door with no mechanism and strange symbols all over it. Sure enough, there stood the door. Silent, unmoving, and... Were the symbols always like that? Ryan frowned. He studied the door, memorized the location of each symbol, and he was sure that one wasn't there before. He flipped down his special glasses. They were Magitech and let him see magical energy. No change from before. Then he noticed something on his arm. His head snapped around to look, and he saw something. It looked like a squid attached to the Magitech torch, and the tendrils were wrapped around his arm. Shouting in alarm, he threw the torch and the squid thing with it. The torch splashed into the water, going out instantly and plunging him into darkness, though the squid remained luminescent. Wait, when did the water get in here? He was certain it wasn't there before, but now there was standing water halfway up to his ankles. Then he realized he could still see despite there being no light. The room itself was lined with the same strange symbols, not carved into the wall, but glowing. He lifted his glasses, and they disappeared. They were made of magic. He looked back at the torch. The squid thing was gone. Carefully, he looked around. He didn't see it despite it glowing before, but the thought flew from his head the moment he looked at the far wall. The door was open. A dark passage lay beyond, more stonework similar to what he had already seen. More importantly, however, when did it open, and how? Ryan looked back, thinking that he should get the rest of the expedition, but paused. I didn't open this, he thought. There's no guarantee that I would be able to get out if it closes. Satisfied, he began to walk back toward the stairs. There's also no guarantee that it would ever open again. That made him pause. He looked back at the door. It was still open, silent, the symbols on the wall of the room casting an eerie blue-green glow. He cursed himself and pushed his nerves aside as he marched back through the room to the door. The hall beyond was dark, so he grabbed his torch. Pressing the switch, it created sparks, but no flame ignited. Sighing, he pulled out a flare and struck it, hanging his torch upside down so hopefully it would dry off by the time he needed it. The red light of the flare didn't do much to help the atmosphere. Long shadows from the irregular stone cast out from him as he moved forward. Moving forward, he heard the splash of water with each step. At one point, he thought he heard some kind of singing, like a reverberation, but when he stopped to listen, there was no sound, aside from the drip somewhere in the distance. Eventually, he rounded a corner to his right, and at the end of a short dead end was a statue. It depicted something hunched over and draped with cloth, so no features could be seen, save for a gangly and sinewy arm clutching a bowl. Ryan approached and examined the statue. On it was written more lettering, and carved into the stone below was something written in the Nephilim tongue. Let us see inside yourself. An odd phrase, though he made a mental note and continued his search. Eventually he got to examining the bowl and felt his stomach drop. The bowl, though mostly empty, held a small number of eyes. What was worse was they looked fresh. They glistened in the light of the flare. Quickly he stood up and backed away. Every instinct told him to flee. I'm not an animal, he thought. I'm better than that. Let us see inside yourself. He knew what had to be done. Going over, he gingerly scooped one of the eyes out of the bowl. He hesitated for a moment, disgust and revulsion passing through him before he popped the eye into his mouth. It was slimy and slid down his throat with more ease than it should. It tasted gross, and he spat out some of the slime. He had to double over from the nausea. Leaning on the statue, he looked at it again and frowned. How had he not noticed the tentacles creeping out from under the hood? Disgusted with himself and the fact that nothing seemed to have happened, he turned to go. Hadn't he turned right into the dead end? My exhaustion's getting to me, he thought, as he turned right back the way he came. As he walked, his flare started to burn low. Cursing his luck, he tried the torch, and with a few clicks it flared to life. The light it cast revealed carvings on the edge of the ceiling. Hunched and hooded figures holding unrecognizable objects hung out from the walls. The splashing of the water seemed to echo around like whispers to Ryan's ears, and the figures didn't help him feel any safer. It wasn't until he entered a giant room that he figured out that he somehow went the wrong way. Were he in his right mind, he would have found it strange that the hallway had only one entrance and one exit, yet led to 2 different rooms. Now though, he was considering the large chasm before him. Whispers of a language unknown echoed through the chasm, as well as the haunting melody from before. Out into the middle of a black lake was a stone bridge which sat just above the water's surface. With a confidence that wasn't his own, Ryan marched out into the lake, and upon reaching the center platform, gazed into the murky depths. He saw the castle. As if he were looking up from the ground, despite looking down, the grand spires of the complete castle loomed above him. The perspective was warped, as if he was looking through a distorted lens that had everything point toward the center. The towers, though complete, seemed unrefined, as if someone didn't finish drawing the texture on them. The wind blew through banners, and disfigured people threw themselves from the windows with blood-curdling screams of either terror or joy. It was then that the eye opened. A singular, enormous yellow eye, as large as the entire lake itself. At the bottom of the sky in the image, it opened, and the force of the presence behind it overpowered Ryan as he fell into the lake, screaming as thoughts not his own flooded his mind. He sat bolt upright from his desk, shrieking in terror. Sweat poured from his hair, and his skin felt clammy and cold. He sat back down, looking at the symbols before him. He could read them now. Down in the farthest depths of dreams, Zuthra calls to him a choir to sing a baneful song. Woe be ye above the sky, woe be ye who walk by sun. Open your eyes inside to see that which you cannot see without. Darkness shall rise, chase back the light, make it run. Join the choir so that the silence ne'er be prolonged, for in the nightmare the truth does scream.
That was fun.
Nice.
Trying your hand at Eldritch?
Yeah, you nailed it on the head, Joshua, trying my hand at Eldritch.
Oh, let me unmute. Hold on. Let me unmute the Wilsons. Sorry about that. When you came in, I just wanted to make sure your fans weren't fading through. Now you're unmuted.
I could hear Ian said that.
Okay,
that was,
I couldn't hear him, so
okay.
And that goes to the stream. So.
Oh well then.
Okay, that was really good. It hit all the good points. It made me a little bit uncomfortable.
Yes. Success.
I think I'm not going to call myself an expert in Lovecraftian horror, but you definitely hit the mark with that one. That was very. It sort of reminded me of. I mean, everybody points to Lovecraft as, the cosmic horror genius, but it more reminded me of Robert E. Howard and Clark Ashton Smith.
Howard, I think, is also a big name within that sort of cosmic horror genre.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I don't know Smith, but I know I've heard Howard before. Yeah, this was my attempt at Eldritch horror, and yeah.
So you really got it. Nailed the tone, the sort of dark and brooding, atmospheric thing that I'm always trying to hit and never quite get. So, props. Even though I only heard the second half, it was good.
Thanks.
Go on. I was just gonna say two constructive things. I loved it to begin with, because Eldritch horror to me, like, it has to make me laugh. I'm so uncomfortable to be like enjoyable to me. That genre generally isn't enjoyable, but this did make me laugh. It not in a like funny way, but like I'm uncomfortable right now kind of way, right? That's when it's fun. Okay. The two constructive things I have is when his flare was going out, you said that the torch flared to life. A little bit repetitive. but
repetitive language.
And mixed language too, because you're using it in two different senses.
Yep.
But the other one is the other one was I kept waiting for there to be some kind of, and I'm not saying this definitely fits in there or not, because a lot of Eldritch Horror doesn't have any comedic relief, but some does. Like the one joke at the end that would have been funny in some way, shape, or form was, "Why did I eat that eyeball?" or something related to like, because it didn't really seem to do much, in the grand scheme of things. So I kept waiting for that shoe to drop where it was like, "Why did I do that?" You know what I mean? Like, that's gross. Why did I do that?
Yeah.
Or like even the monster being like, "Dude, that's gross. Why did you do that?"
Yeah. I so part of the whole point, not whole point, the eyeball did do something.
Mm-hmm.
He turned right into the dead end.
Okay, that's what it did.
He ate the eye, and then to leave the dead end, he turned right again.
Right. Okay.
But that's math. I didn't make that obvious because I was trying not to be like, let's really be heavy-handed. I was trying to avoid that. But I think part of maybe this is just because of my bloodborne influence. But like part of the thing is I don't want to be heavy-handed, even though it's a flash fiction. I want there to.
Right.
I was trying not to be like jump scare, monsters, slasher. It's supposed to be. It's supposed to be dread, not adrenaline.
Yes.
Right, and that was sort of what I was trying to go for. So no, but that's okay. But both of those are good things for me to think about when I edit this
So other people.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, sorry. The it was really good and I enjoyed it a lot. Of course you have little things that you can clean up as you go. That's like obviously.
Yeah.
But I think the one thing I would do is like when he wakes up at his desk, make sure you say Ryan woke up with a jolt, not he woke up with a jolt.
Right.
Because I think that would flow better. That's the one small thing that I would say.
No, that's perfect.
Yeah, and as far as like structure goes, I would actually lean more atmospheric, like add in a couple of extra like dark, really sensory details, like the feel of the slimy stone or the way that the shadows are almost alive, or the smell. Let's just smidgen, like there's something rotten or something. I don't know. Whatever fits your thing. Yeah, I would lean into that a little more just to make it like really eerie.
Okay, I might be able to.
Stench of charnel decay or something like that.
Yes, or what is it that you like to say in I can't remember the word. This something darkness instead of the
Stygian blackness. Yes.
Yes, the Stygian blackness. Yes.
Stygian blackness. Sure. No, I can do that. Part of me. Yeah, I think I was trying to avoid making this too long, and I didn't want to bog down with details, but the details are important. So thank you. I will.
Yeah, and you can just do a couple. Just one or two touches should more than suffice.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel or Alexander, do you guys have anything?
I have like the earliest draft of this short story that I've been
I was saying
for
Brendan on his story. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I've been like focused on like several different things. My apologies. No.
Okay. Alex.
As far as the eye thing, I didn't hear a giant amount of the story, but it like allowed him to see things that he couldn't see previously, right? He turned right into a dead end and saw that there was something there, that it wasn't actually a dead end, right?
Well, Well, he turned right into a dead end, saw a statue. The statue had some eyes in it, in a bowl. He took one of the eyes and ate it. And then suddenly the statue, he noticed, had tentacles coming out of
Tentacles
the
coming
hood.
out of it, yeah.
And then when he turned around to leave, he turned right again. Even though I didn't really make it clear, now looking back, I didn't make it clear that, like, rounding the corner was, like, up to a dead end. So,
Yeah.
he turns right, and then suddenly he turns right, and he ends up continuing going in the direction that he left. So, yes, the eye was showing him new stuff.
Yeah, I got that. Even the little bit that I heard, I understood that that's what was going on in the story. So
yeah, okay.
I at least caught that from there. So
can I ask one question, because I know all the details of what's going on in the world. I don't necessarily know if it translated. There were a couple of points that I have it set of his thoughts in his head. Right, like him thinking to himself. I should have made those clear somehow, like maybe with quotes or some hand symbol or something. But were there any points where you thought he's not actually thinking that thought? The thought's being planted in his head.
Was there anywhere where I thought that? Well,
yeah, was there any point where you thought he was being messed with, like, psychically or psychologically or something?
Yes, but there were mainly the places you told me that was happening.
Okay.
So,
right, so I'd be a little...
before that, maybe, because, like, his perception's completely thrown out of whack with the first creature.
Yeah.
And so from there, yes, I could also say yes, but every other time it was specifically like you telling me. So,
okay, I'll try to work on that then. All right, thank you guys. This has been helpful. This has been really insightful.
Sweet. So, Ian, do you bring stories, or Chris, either one?
I did, as a matter of fact. Chris, did you bring anything?
I do, yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay, well...
We come bearing stories.
TK, Abigail, or Ian, who wants to go next out of you guys?
Okay.
Okay, let's see who gets it.
Okay.
All right, TK's next.
All right.
I like how I'm now the canonical adjudicator of who goes next via rock, paper, scissors.
We do that all the time.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah, for not paying 100% of my attention. I have a friend who's in a little bit of a crisis right now, so I had to listen to her messages. Please pray for her.
Will do.
Just call her L. The Lord knows who she is. Alrighty. This is another portion of my work in progress.
This is the story of a girl who cried a river and drowned the whole world.
You might have to cut that out. We don't want to get copyrighted.
I think we're good. I don't think that sounded anything like the original.
I don't know why that made me laugh, but it did.
Okay, but the best thing about that song is when you do it with the girl squirrel thing, because you can take any song that has the word girl in it, and this is the story of a squirrel who cried a river and drowned the whole world, and then it becomes instantly funnier. Anyway.
Okay. Okay. In the middle of the night, Serafina awoke and sat up in bed. She opened up her curtain and nearly let out a scream. A cloud of wraiths swept past her window. Out in the yard, by the light of the streetlights, she saw a shape that she thought might have been Erdwolf, but realized his ever-present cape and axe were missing, and his horns were the wrong shape entirely. going nearly directly over his head and not the antelope shape she knew Erdwolf's horns took. The creature's skin was black as coal, and his goat-like legs were covered in matted black fur. Seraphina stumbled back and began to chant aloud. God's hand to guard me, God's shield to protect me, God's host to save me from the snares of devils. She started running through the house, turning on all the lights, still chanting, from temptations of vices, from everyone who shall wish me ill, afar and near. Sarah stopped caring who she woke and ran into her sister's rooms without knocking and flipped on every light despite their protests and questions. I summon today between those powers and all those powers between me and those evils, against every cruel, merciless power that may oppose my body and soul, against incantations of false prophets, against the black laws of pagandom. She burst into her parents' room and turned on the lights. Sarah, what the devil? Yelled Patrick, her father. Exactly! Against false laws of heretics, against crafts of idolatry, against the spells of witches, smiths, and wizards. She even hit the lights in the basement and the attic, then ran back to the living room, nearly out of breath. Against every knowledge that corrupts man's body and soul, Christ shield me today against poison, against burning, against drowning, against wounding, so that there may come to me an abundance of reward. Sarah's quest ended, she dropped onto the couch. Phew! Take that, you, whatever you are! Seraphina Maria Divna O'Reilly, what is all this commotion? Demanded Patrick. Yeah, why exactly did you wake up my baby? Demanded Celeste over the wails of baby Margaret. I promise it was important, Cell. Look! Cried Granny, pointing out the big bay window. Despite the lights, the creature from the backyard stared balefully into the window. Quick! The crucifix! Yelled Seraphina. Patrick didn't question him, but grabbed the family's large cross from a table and passed it to Seraphina, who held it steadfastly against the glass. The monster retreated into the dark. What was that thing? Asked Sarah's mother. I don't know, but I know someone who will, said Seraphina. Down in Evermore, an old-fashioned phone began to ring. Rising from bed, Katrina Carson picked up the heavy melamine receiver. Hello? She mumbled. Miss Katrina? It's Seraphina. Sarah, it's... She squinted at the clock. 3 in the morning. She just had a wraith attack and they brought a friend. I don't know what it was. Okay, just keep the lights on. I'll send Wolf and Boris right out. We'll be here. Katrina hung up the phone and shook her husband awake. Wolf, wake up. The ogre grunted. What is it, kitty? There's trouble in Tara. Seraphina's house just came under a wraith attack. Wolf bolstered himself up. Go, Boris, I'll get dressed. Katrina put on her bathrobe and went across the little hall between their room and Boris's loft. Boris lay sound asleep on his mattress. The soft glow from the corner revealed the terrarium of his pet Sparky, a salamander. The mythological creature, not the amphibian. Boris, honey, wake up. Mom, what's the matter? Grumbled Boris. There's some trouble at Sarah's house. Get dressed. Dad will need your help. Okay. Boris got up, turned on his light, and grunted. I'm sorry, sweetie. It's okay. Boris looked around. Darn it all, where's my hoodie? Sparky chirped and pointed his tail at Boris's desk chair. Thanks, Sparks. Within 15 minutes, the ogre and his son, toting a salamander in his shirt pocket against the cold, arrived in the Tower neighborhood. They went silent and swift through the darkness, past the church. Once they came around the church, they stopped. All that, Dad? Yes, I don't know this one. I smell the wraiths, but I don't know the other scent. The two looked at each other, seeing each other clearly with their night eyes. This wasn't good. Boris was especially disconcerted. His dad knew everything. Something he didn't know had to be bad. We'll go to the O'Reilly house and check on them, said Erdwolf. Boris nodded and followed his father. Erdwolf knew where Seraphina's home was, of course, but it was easy to spot. It had every conceivable light on. Erdwolf examined the yard. The scent of the creature was very strong here. He found a circle of scorched grass where the thing had stood and choked on the noxious scent of the thing. Whatever it was a being of pure malice. Dad? Come on, son. Sarah paced uneasily, waiting for Erdwolf to arrive. Granny was already in the process of making tea. Who are we expecting, Sarah? Asked Rachel. The garrison commander of Evermore and his son Boris. Sarah chewed her lip for a second. It would be a little shocking when you see them. They're not like your boyfriend? Asked Uriel snidely. Sarah resisted the urge to roll her eyes. No, they're not elves. Not elves. Then what are they? Well, there came a loud knocking at the door. Pulled his gun and made for the entryway. Dad, I don't think the gun's necessary, said Sarah. I'm not taking chances with that thing. Sarah skittered after him, worried. She watched from the door to the dining room as Patrick opened the entryway door, revealing the massive form of Airwolf, Boris no doubt behind him. Her father shouted, "Whoa!" His gun. Sir, calm down, said Airwolf, holding up his hands. Yeah, we're friendly. What's going on? Called Rachel. Stay back, girls, Patrick ordered. Get off my veranda. Dad, put the gun down. These are some of my fairy people. Sarah came running up from behind. What? Airwolf and Boris are from the underground city I told you about. Airwolf is garrison commander and takes care of everyone down there, and Boris is his son. Patrick slowly lowered his gun. What are they? Airwolf is an ogre, Dad, and his son is part human, said Sarah quietly. 50% human, 100% handsome, quipped Boris. Sarah reached out and took Airwolf's hand. Dad, make some room to let them pass. They really don't mean any harm. Patrick continued to glare at them as Serafina pulled Airwolf into the entryway. He held his gun at the ready as she then pulled Boris in after his father. Sarah glanced over her shoulder at her family gathered in the door, their faces a mixture of fear and wonder. It's okay, everyone. They're friendly. Sarah held Airwolf's hand and guided him to the dining room, the ogre ducking slightly to make room for his horns, and pulled his hood more over his face in hopes of disguising it. So she was telling the truth, said Uriel. I don't lie, Ree. I showed you proof before, snapped Sarah. Some jewelry and a picture of some handsome dude. Now we've got monsters in our dining room. Hey! Barked Boris aggressively. Boris, warned his father, holding him back. Remember what I've taught you. Do not escalate. The teen grumbled and stepped back. You're not monsters, Ree, said Sarah calmly. Airwolf adjusted his posture so he looked less threatening and moved closer to a wall. One horn struck a photo in the wall and knocked it down. Oh, I'm terribly sorry. Are you destroying stuff, I see? Remarked Uriel. Have you got a problem, Uriel? Snapped Serafina. Dad, maybe we should go, said Boris. No, you stay right there, ordered Sarah. Yes, my lady. My lady, look at you, all airs and graces, barked Uriel. Uriel, that is quite enough, ordered Rachel. These gentlemen are our guests. I think it's time you told us some more about what happened while you were gone, Sarah. Sarah sighed. I suppose. We'll step out for a moment. We need to make sure the creature is gone, said Airwolf. We'll return presently. There's more to that, but I'll pause there.
Fun as always.
Thank you.
Excellent, love it.
Human, 100% handsome.
That's the line that stuck out to me
That
too.
killed me. That killed me. You can't do that, TK. You're gonna... Oh my gosh. Anyway.
It was great.
Great as usual. Amazing even.
Such fantastic quippy dialogue. That's what you excel
we
at.
love your book, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you.
Kirith, do you have more, or Abigail, to say about this? Anybody? No? Did you have any questions for us, TK?
Without speaking.
Girls, you're on mute if you're trying to talk.
Yeah, I was just trying to think. It's nice now that I read some of your book, TK, knowing who Sarah is and like, yeah.
Oh, that's your wife.
That's Brendan's wife, yes. You were just figuring that out.
Yeah, that's my wife. She has been on before. We were even in the same room once.
There's a face that I vaguely recognize, but I have no idea who it is.
And there's Tristan.
There's your wife. All right.
Yeah, that's my wife. That's just here. Watch. I can even prove.
Here he goes. Oh boy. Just don't fall.
Oh, he teleported.
He's flossing.
Look at that.
Oh no, please! We have tainted the Broodcast with Fortnite dances. It'll never be the same from here on out.
And
Oh, that was fun. Daniel, did you have anything for TK?
This is why I'm not allowed to go places.
I'm sorry. I'm kind of
You're
distracted.
good. You're
with
working.
schoolwork.
That's good. You're good. I'm just checking. It's all good, man. Please do your
I
job.
literally found out what Fortnite was 2 weeks ago. So
I mean, I have to say, I am very impressed that it took you that long. Also, I'm sorry you've been introduced to it.
people keep apologizing. Like, I don't care.
I mean, really, it's not that bad. It's just the people who play it who are bad. Man, it's like League of Legends, actually.
Oh, there you go. Or most MMORPGs, to be honest with you.
I
True.
do actually know what that is. So
Hello. Hazel's coming in. Good night, sweet pea. Yeah, say good night to everybody. Night, night. Peter, come here. Say good night to everybody. He's saying good night. Sonic says good night.
Night, Peter.
Alrighty. Abigail, I'm not sure if you're sticking around. Oh, Stephanie, how are you?
So,
You decided to pop
doing
in.
okay.
It's good to see you.
I did. You too.
Long time no talk.
I know. It's been a while.
It's been a
Abigail,
while.
I don't know if you're currently listening or able to unmute, but if you want next, you can have it. I'm going to give you a few minutes to figure out if you want to go next or not. But yeah, so Stephanie, what you got there? Something delicious? Some fall chili or something?
It's like a lentil curry thing from Costco.
yummy.
I don't know.
Yummy.
It's good.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. All right. For some of you may not know Stephanie. She's been part of the Brood for a long time.
Yeah.
Lurker.
I don't think I've ever actually seen your face. Well, there it goes. I spoke too soon.
But yeah,
You never will again.
she's an amazing musician, has put out a lot of cool stuff. She has just last couple of years had a lot of stuff with her parents that we've been praying for. Some of y'all have. And that's it's just really cool to have you finally on one of these broadcasts, because I know you've said several times you've wanted to join in. So
I just never seem to work out.
You listen to them though, from what I understand, right? Or at least some of them. So you know kind of what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome to
More or
have you
less.
join us. All right, Abigail has said nothing so far. That would probably move to Kirith next, is what I'm thinking, if she's able to. I know Baby is handful, so if we need to move,
Kirith
come back
or
to you.
Ian.
Yeah, it's Kirith or Ian basically, but
Well, I guess I just wanted to share some of for the story that I had shared a while back, the first chapter, it's a fantasy world, and I came up with an animal that is like, oh, there you go. I came up with an animal that kind of like, because so my main character grew up in a cave, but I'm like, well, not like cavemen, like that's not really what I was going for, but just like their house is in a cave. And then I was like, okay, but what does it mean for her to have been like sheltered? And so try to think of what types of like what kind of life she and her mom and then her brothers, for as long as they lived with them, what that would have been like with like this community that like people live in like parts of the cave. And so I came up with an animal that is like an otter, that they dig tunnels and they collect they sort of like get salts attached to their fur, and so then humans can like collect that salt, and there's sort of this relationship where they help like give the animals something that they want, like, and I'm not sure if it should be like, it can't just be food, because then it's like, well, how do they survive on their own without humans sometimes? Because I'm thinking of them as almost like bees or ravens, like where, and so I was thinking that the main characters and her mom, they help like sort of care for these otter creatures. I was thinking maybe humans offer them in this specific mountain and cave.
Hi, everybody. I'm Katie Schultz.
Hi, everybody.
Oops.
She's Katie Schultz.
Sorry.
It's all right. You can mute. Go ahead. Go ahead, Kareth.
What was I gonna say? Oh, there's maybe a predator that humans protect them from sometimes, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say either a predator or it's a like there's some kind of plague or blight, and they don't get fruit in the cave. So, but they generally try to stay in the cave, so you could actually have the fruit be like, curing the scurvy in the animal, and they like the flavor and all that other kind of stuff. That's just an idea, but that's another one you could possibly do. But I like the predator thing too. Did you have more on that or no?
No, I didn't have anything.
Okay. Anyone have any other thoughts on that?
So do they live in the cave like 100% of the time, or do they sometimes come out?
I was thinking there's a town nearby, so they're not always like out of the sunlight, because I feel like then
I mean
what?
I mean the otter creatures.
Oh, the otters. Yeah, I hadn't decided. I was thinking either they don't get sunlight, or they just they like to dig like and make their homes in the mountain, but they're not always in underground is what I was thinking.
Oh. So maybe they come out at night?
Yeah.
Okay. I was just curious. I don't know. I was obsessed with cave creatures for a while.
Cave creatures are fun.
Why does that surprise
14.
me?
Yes, down beneath in the Stygian blackness.
We need like just the white letters on a black shirt, Stygian darkness, Stygian darkness, or Stygian blackness on a t-shirt.
Oh, okay. I think there's a metal band by that name.
Alex,
I've got to look at it now.
Well, either there can only be one of those, so we could always use a different word. But we need Stygian. Alex, if you're listening, let's get a t-shirt ideas section on the Discord at some point.
You got it, sir.
Oh boy. So
I'm going to make that a thread in Green Dragon Top Room. Sound good?
That sounds great. All right. Ian, are you ready to do yours? Oh, and Stephanie,
right.
are you bringing something or just listening?
I'm just listening today.
Okay, sounds good.
I just got off work, so
okay.
I am not prepared for anything.
Okay, not a problem. Just wanted to check, make sure. All right, go ahead, Ian.
So one of my friends from my writer circles on Twitter and Facebook is doing an anthology of short stories based on songs by Meatloaf. And he asked all of his writer friends if they would like to contribute. You know, everybody gets one song, but you can't choose the same song as somebody else. I went with the Meatloaf song, the title track off the album Attitude. And this is a Walter Ulrich story, as you could tell. He He has a bad attitude. This is a story from Walter's teen years. I only have a little bit of it developed. There's only like the first scene of it right now, and then I have some plot points. Let me pull up the outline. That's the part I need help with anyway. I just have some vague plot point and some ideas that I want to develop in later in the story. But obviously, it can't be too long because it's got to fit in the anthology. So here we go. The old clock ticked down the time overhead while the secretary chatted away. The principal's office was cold and sterile, with few decorations on the walls other than a photo of the current governor of West Virginia and some awards. Walter Ulrich sat silently brooding, staring blankly at the sweating, overweight young man across from him, like a panther observing his prey. The man held a handkerchief to his nose as blood trickled steadily. His hair was greasy, and he smelled as though he hadn't showered in days. Come on over there. Daniel, could you mute yourself? Thank you. He smelled as though he hadn't showered in days, a fact which he tried to conceal unsuccessfully with strong-smelling body spray. He had a very sensitive nose, and the combined scents gave him a headache and turned his stomach. "No, that's not just because he's my boss," said the secretary. "Mr. O'Donnell has done this district some powerful good, and I just don't see myself voting for Connolly. There's just something about her I don't like." Something about her I don't like either, thought Walter. He had suspicions about this Connolly character running for mayor. She had an unsavory aspect to her, but he couldn't put words as to what it was he didn't like. The door of the reception area suddenly swung open. A tall, handsome, angry-looking man stomped in. "Walter," said the man. "Pa," said Walter. "Gentlemen," said the secretary suddenly, "Mr. O'Donnell will see you now." Slowly, Walter rose from his seat and shuffled into the principal's office, followed by his father, Goodman, and the sweet boy.
I'm sorry.
"Sit down," said the principal. The two young men took their seats while the elder remained standing. "Would either of you care to explain what happened?" asked the principal. "Well, I was just," began the sweaty boy. "See, sir, he was eyeballing," Walter interrupted. "One at a time," said O'Donnell, grasping his forehead. "Go ahead, Howard," said Walter. "Well," said the sweating Howard in a nasal voice, "I was just minding my own business when Walter just shoved me into a locker for no reason." "That's not true," growled Walter through his teeth. "Then maybe you might give us your side of the story, Walter," O'Donnell exasperatedly. "He was eyeballing Judy," said Walter. "I was not," retorted Howard. "I've seen this sick little freak following her around," roared Walter, "taking pictures of her behind." "Calm down, Walter," said Goodman, placing his large hand on his son's shoulder. "You have a bad attitude, Mr. Ulrich," said O'Donnell. "You completely ignore all rules and procedures. If you keep going down this road, you're going to end up in a cell somewhere. You are hereby suspended for the next week." Walter sighed. It was the second time he'd been suspended that semester. "If it happens again," continued O'Donnell, "I will be forced to alert the authorities." The Ulrich men left the office and made their way out of the building. "Is it true?" asked Goodman once they were in the parking area. "Part of what I said was accurate," said Walter. "He's been creeping on Judy ever since I've been seeing her. He makes her uncomfortable. She said as much." Goodman nodded. "I understand why you did that, son. I would have done the same thing at your age, to be honest." "Thanks, Pa," said Walter, and strapped on his motorcycle helmet. You gotta understand, continued Goodman. Keep doing crap like this, or O'Donnell is right. You're gonna end up in a cell, or worse. Walter and his father stared at each other for a moment. We're not like everyone else, said Goodman. You and I both know that. People are gonna get scared of you. People get scared, do stupid things, finished Walter. Right, said Goodman. Now let's get home. Walter mounted the motorcycle his father had given him to ride, while Goodman stepped into the cab of his pickup truck, and the two drove back to the family farm on their respective vehicles. And that's all I've written.
Good stuff so far. Like younger Walter, being a little less sure of himself, but a lot more impulsive.
All right, well, that's great. So as far as the outline of the story goes, so I might have written more. I did write more and then forgot. But the next scene is just a conversation between Walter and his best friend Steve, over the radio, because Walter at this point in his life shuns cell phones. He just hates cell phones. So they are using ham radios instead.
That's awesome.
Why does Walter not like cell phones?
I honestly hadn't decided. He just thinks they're too newfangled. He doesn't like them. He doesn't like the
fads.
concept of cell phones. What's that?
He doesn't like fads.
Yeah.
Kind of like someone else I know.
Yeah, a little author self-insertion there. I
kind of like two other people you know?
At least two.
At least. So anyway, the next scene is he's talking about what happened with his friend Steve, and they're just kind of chatting, and Steve said he got this weird signal over his radio. It was interrupting his signal. It was on a very strange frequency that nobody uses.
Right.
I'm going to have to do some research into that. And that leads to them somehow finding out that the lady that's running for mayor of their little town is actually a lizard person.
Fun.
Someone like a literal lizard person, or
what'd you say, Daniel?
Like a literal lizard person, or like just a slimy politician? What like
a literal lizard person from another dimension.
Okay, gotcha.
This
so
is the werewolf
same
story.
difference.
Ha ha ha! But
Dang.
Yep, I'm liking it so far. The idea of a meatloaf anthology is just fun.
That is very unique.
All I got is my outline. I'm so sad. You're good. Sorry.
It's all good.
Anyway, that leads to discovering that a lot of people in town are being replaced by lizard people who are assuming their identities and trying to take control of the town, and then using it as an outpost for their invasion. Walter then has to stop them from doing that. In the process, nobody believes him. Everybody thinks he's crazy or trying to stir up trouble. Maybe he gets arrested at some point. I was going to do that. I mean, obviously, if he gets arrested and thrown in jail, he's not going to be able to investigate and save the day. His girlfriend breaks up with him.
Is it the same
end up stopping the
from
monsters? And
is it the same girlfriend from the childhood?
This is his girlfriend I established in later stories that he and she broke up in high school. So.
Oh, sorry. I'm getting confused by the timeline. My bad. Sorry. No, we're fine. We're fine. Okay.
You're good.
I was gonna say one of the things that I think you and Walter, this needs to be a phrase. It's not a phrase, but there's like hipster tends to be like Portland hipster in the generic sense, but there needs to be like a main pickup truck driving hipster. It's the one it's the one who has serious opinions on two variants of a 1979 Ford F-150, right? Like it's that kind of person. That is Walter to a T. So I don't know what to call that yet, except a pickup truck hipster, but that's what I'm picturing anyway. So
you're not entirely wrong. I mean, he has particular opinions about a lot of things, firearms, the finer points of killing muskrat, things like that.
Yes.
Not to mention some really niche interests like demons and whatnot, but
yep.
Yeah. So anyway, if you have any suggestions on where to put some of these ideas, I don't want to make the story too long. How do they discover that there are lizard people infiltrating their town?
Didn't you say it was a ham radio thing?
It starts as a ham radio thing, but in the course of investigation,
okay,
they
I see what you're
try
saying.
to investigate where the signal is coming from and then discover a secret lizard people base, or what?
So I would dive down the rabbit hole of the lizard people conspiracy theories and go with why does anyone ever see them as lizard people and not the changeling form? And pick one of those and make it your own. That's what I would do. I would go more research on this guy.
Well, here's the funny thing.
No, go on. Do your thing first, and then I'll...
The origin of the lizard people theory actually originates in a Robert E. Howard sword and sorcery story, where Kull the Conqueror, who was he's like the precursor to Conan the Barbarian. He was the original prototype.
Mm-hmm.
Barbarian becomes king of a nation that he knows absolutely nothing about. Is the basic story. And he finds out that all of his advisors and all of his staff basically are these humanoid snake creatures. And the only way to find that out is to say a certain phrase at them. They cannot repeat it back because their forked tongues won't allow it.
Nice.
I would suggest
that triggers
also...
the speech therapist, and then it's oh yes.
Make it a.
I would suggest
make that word a call sign.
Ooh.
In the ham radio. There you go. Anyway, go ahead. Go ahead, Abigail.
I would suggest throwing in an element of the changeling lore. With changelings, they if you they can get befuddled by giving them weird math problems, like having to count seeds or cooking your soup in a tiny little spoon, which is you can't do that, says the changeling, or something like that. So you could combine the the phrase elements with a bit of changeling elements, because basically they are changelings, and have so you could just put them together, and
Sweet.
Plus, I do like the idea. I like the idea of having the while they're investigating the source of the ham radio signal, they come across them, because that's nice and simple.
All right, yeah. Oh, I'll go with that. I'm kind of combining the like the alien lore, the extraterrestrial stuff with the more spiritual, ethereal fairies and whatnot, because I think they do kind of go together. They're lizard people from another planet, but they're like kind of they have like a demonic element to them because we can't. The Bible doesn't say that there aren't demons on other planets.
Right.
It could be out there. We don't know that.
Mm-hmm.
New music intensifies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Brendan.
Can I just say a couple things?
Go ahead.
Well, there are a few things. One, tropes usually show that animals can sense things before humans
Ooh.
can. Walter,
So why not
Yes.
werewolf?
So why couldn't
Yeah.
yes? Why couldn't werewolves? Two, he's a werewolf. Why doesn't he have a heightened sense of smell just innately? He just automatically it's like something's
right.
not right.
That's
You
correct.
smell wrong. And going a little further, I did a quick Google search. Can lizards see color? Reptiles can see color. Most reptiles are tetrachromites, which means they have 4 types of cones. Humans only have 3. So what if they get the color wrong because they see too much color? Or because they're working on radio waves, they can actually see the radio waves? Or something. I don't know what if radio waves are actually considered on the visible spectrum, but
they're interdimensional, so it's fine.
Yeah.
I borrowed the wave thing from the I don't know. I know we've all been listening to Haunted Cosmos, but I borrowed the radio wave thing from Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that works well. I like it.
I like the Toucan Sam factor. Follow your nose. Anyway.
No, but honestly, I honestly think that maybe Walter's personality of being generally paranoid and generally not liking new people and not liking people is because of that wolf sense in him that he can just sense that people are bad, and because he's had such a rough life, we'll call it. I don't know if he's had a rough life, but because of the stuff that he's gone through, whenever he senses anything, even if it's the slightest bit off, it immediately triggers the issues within him. And so that's why he's so constantly like because
hypersensitive.
Hypersensitive because he is sensing the bad in people. He's already automatically doing that just because that's the nature of his animal side, and he tends to focus on that more than on the good in people. So when somebody good actually comes along that doesn't have that, that's when, so anyway, sorry.
Yeah. Well, that's why he only has like 2 friends.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. and so that's just sort of maybe I'm overcomplicating things. He's obviously your character, but like
no, you have nailed his character already. You're not really that familiar with Walter, so.
I like Walter.
He likes Walter.
What I've heard of him, I like.
Abigail, are you ready to do yours?
Sorry.
Keeping on the werewolf vibe, right?
Yeah. You want a werewolf?
Sweet.
I have actually published several werewolf stories.
Nice.
So I could read you one of those. So on Havoc, I have a lot of. I don't know why I keep writing werewolf stories for them. Oh. Okay, well, I have to sign in first. Or if you guys want to help me figure out how to fix a story.
I like fixing stories.
A bit more
is it a world building problem?
Or is it a character problem? That's this guy. Anyway.
I actually, if we're doing that kind of thing, I actually do have something to share, but I'll let her go.
Yeah, the problem is that I haven't been. I mean, it's a really good story, and I love it. It was a dream because that happens a lot. But I've sent it to several different places and it keeps on being rejected. And I'd like to figure out why, because I think it's a really good story. So, hang on. All right.
I'll actually.
Yeah, I probably can't get the accent right. So, I can't even be sure if what I saw that day was a ghost. They were tangible and real, just as real as I am. But there was something strange, supernatural about them. It happened a few years ago, after I discovered a mistake had been made on the Padilla farm, where I work as a supervisor. A mistake that would cost them hundreds of thousands of dollars. It was not anybody's fault except for mine. But you don't want to hear about that, so I'll tell you about the thing that I saw. It's hard to tell that there's a cliff there unless you know the area. The ground climbs and then levels near the top. Up to about 50 yards from the cliff's edge, there is a pine forest, ending with a large cedar right on the edge. Partly because of the tree, the edge does not look as sharp as it is, but the drop is sheer and deep enough to kill a man. I ran toward it when I couldn't stand the strain of hiding my mistake anymore. The despair of knowing I let everyone down and had nothing to live for. Might as well get it over with, the sooner the better. Stupid failure, the words drummed in my head with every step of my work boots, kicking up dust as I went over the rocky terrain. Worthless, no hope. It would only take me one long step to go over the edge. A few yards from the edge of the cliff, I heard a noise approaching from behind me. Galloping horses and rattling wheels. I turned and saw a coach coming at me full speed, coming out of nowhere. It was painted black and was being drawn by two horses, whipped by a coachman until they galloped. I jumped out of the way just in time. The coach was headed for the cliff's edge, just like I was, but I didn't have time to wonder why or where it had come from before I saw something that made my hair stand on end. The coachman was wearing a dark overcoat and an old-fashioned hat, like something from the Old West. But as he came closer, I saw his face, and it was me. It wasn't just a ghost of some ancestor who looked like me. It was me. I can't explain it. By the look on his face, his story was mine. Some professional wrong had destroyed his life, and he feared the consequences, and how his life would fall to pieces, as much as he hated the thoughts of living. It was me, but 100 years earlier. Then I saw a figure running behind the coach and keeping pace, though I don't think its feet touched the ground. It wore a billowing black cloak, with the hood pulled up over its head and face, and it was carrying a long scythe. It was the Grim Reaper. It was death itself chasing down that coach. I had to get out of there, but there was nowhere to go or hide except in the tree on the edge of the cliff. So I scrambled up the branches as fast as I could. But then, a few yards from the cliff's edge, the coach swerved as the coachman shouted, "No, it's not worth this. There is still hope." And the coach crashed into the tree, nearly shaking me out. The coach was destroyed. The coachman lay among the rubble, injured and not moving, but alive. The cloaked figure, Death, still followed and stopped, standing right over the coachman. I was sure Death was going to take him then and there, that he was going to die after all. But then Death would come for me next. But the coachman, the other me, had chosen not to die. Death turned up and looked up at me. My stomach dropped. I could see his face, and it was me. I was Death. The Death I had chosen back then as a coachman, and which the coachman chose to reject. Not only the same face, body, and mind, it was the same spirit. I recognized my own soul. Death smiled, and then turned and walked away. I dropped down from the tree and backed away from the cliff as fast as I could go on shaking legs. Did Death offer me the choice? I don't know. But I know that I chose to live, to keep fighting on, even when everything I'd ever worked for crashed around me. I chose that when the coachman chose it, as Death closed in on both of us. It was more than fear, there was something about it too big for me to understand. That is scarier than seeing a ghost any day. It still scares me. I can't figure it out. Account from Jim Cidabacca, former supervisor at Padilla Farms, located in the Sangre de Cristo Mountains, New Mexico.
Okay. So I think there's one thing that, and I don't know what publishers you're sending to, so I don't know anything about that, but the one thing that jumped out at me from a generic publisher, we want to make sure that we're being very considerate of people with mental health issues kind of thing would be the initial like possibility of suicide being a thing that they don't want to touch.
Yeah.
I think that's the only thing that really jumped out at me, other than it's flash fiction, so you can't do a whole lot of character dev, but there could be a little bit more in there for the sake of the story, you know, but like
it's pretty short, so I could flesh that out.
yeah, and the specifics of why this person's on the edge of suicide, making a suicidal choice, you know, just a little bit of that to go into that. But like I said, I think that's the only thing that I can think of initially. I love the concept of looking and like all the pacing is like what you would expect for a basic horror setup, and then it's like you, but not you. Like that's a very strong visceral sensation that I really appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
Other folk?
Anyone who wants to chime in on Abigail's story?
Yeah. Feedback.
I think sort of piggybacking off of Joshua's comment. I think it is the suicide possibly that is so touchy, and the fact that you can't take the time to develop that character so that it's not just so like iffy on the thing. I bought it, but that's because I'm a really good audience member, and I'm not suicidal, and so I'm like, oh, this character's suicidal. Okay,
yeah,
whatever. Maybe instead of being explicitly, oh, I'm going to end this, going, I'll let me look at it, see maybe if this could be an option, phrasing it that way as opposed to, no, I'm going to do this, have it be, is this a viable option? And having her look at that instead, rather than having it be, I'm going to do this. Whether or not that's how you view what's being heard. Maybe that's what the publisher is hearing instead of like they're hearing, oh, I'm going to do this, rather than possibly phrasing it in such a way where it's she's still considering it. She's on and she's looking.
It's a he, right?
He. Sorry.
It is, yeah.
They. It. I'm bad with names and things.
I don't think there was a name if I heard correctly, but
at the very end.
Okay.
I'm bad, okay? Work with me here.
That's fine.
The other thing, though, and this has nothing to do with criticism, as you were describing, a chariot barreled toward me, and I saw on its head, and behind him was a horseman clad in cloak with a scythe. It felt very Revelation to me. Just and behold, I saw a man on a horse, and on him and there were 7 bowls, and
I can hear the Johnny Cash begin. Yeah,
just the cadence of the way you said it. It just sounded very Revelation-y to me. That's not a problem. It's just sort of an interesting parallel I noted. Like, that's interesting. True. But I don't know if that would actually solve the issue that you're dealing with here. But I mean, it was very interesting. It was just also like, what do we do with this?
Yeah.
Other folk have any comments on that? Oh, did you say something, Daniel? I didn't hear it, and neither did the stream. Go ahead.
Oh, I said heavy stuff.
Gotcha.
Just adding. Yeah.
Yep. I had you muted just for the sake of the recording. So, any which way.
Yeah, it is one of my heaviest stories, but also, I hope, one of my brightest.
Yes, I love the hope that comes from it. It's great stuff. So, let's see. Is there anyone besides me that's going to be sharing? Daniel, you said you might, depending on.
Okay, so.
Chris and I are going to call it a night.
All right. You guys have a great
Thank you
night.
for having us.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening.
For the suggestions
And boom.
And gone. As soon as I open my mouth, they're like, "Oh nope, we're gone."
Oh wait, no, they're back.
They're back again?
But
Hi, I'm sorry. One more thing for your listeners. My next book, the Walter Ulrich Files, comes out on Halloween. Good night.
Yes.
Good night.
Oh.
Good night.
It's Halloween.
Cool. So I have more of a solid outline, and I've shared it with Abigail, and I've shared it with a few other members of the Brood. A little short story I've been working on since back in high school, and kind of revamped it back in college. Looking at it, my first draft was pretty strong, but I think it works a lot better as a short, like, flash fiction piece. I'm just trying to find a good ending for it. I actually have enough here. I'm actually reading back at it, and it's like, I'm kind of happy with it. I like the atmosphere, and it's spooky. It might not be sort of nonsensical, but towards the end there, it kind of derails. But maybe y'all can kind of help me out. Should I read it?
Might as well. Go for it.
Okay. Something is wrong in the village. A foul smell wafted through the air as they drew closer. Something told Nissa to turn back. Something other than her guide. Empty streets, greenery overflowing buildings. There's a blank space there where there should be words, but something's not quite right, mistress. People should be out playing. People should be out this time of day. Children should be playing, laughing. Cliche line here, but it's fine. I'm going to stop commentating, just read. A chill ran down Nissa's spine. We should turn back, the guide said. A loud hissing caused Nissa to spin around suddenly. The street behind her was empty and dark. Whispers and faint scent of rot filled the moonlit sky. Nissa clutched the letter in her hand and a little tighter as she glanced over her shoulder cautiously. Despite the emptiness of the woodland around her, she could not help but notice the upright hairs. Oh, that was such a dumb line. I'm sorry, skipping that.
Stop editing and read.
Okay. Thanks. Someone or something was following her, or so she thought. She quickened her pace. She tried not to look back. She tried to run. She sped up to a jog, narrowly avoiding a low-hanging branch. She could hear claws scraping against stone and a bestial shape. She could sense a bestial shape slowly crawling closer. With every breath she exhaled, she felt something move nearer. She remained focused on the path ahead of her. It's just your imagination. Keep moving, she thought to herself. Taking a cautious breath, she forced herself to slow slightly and concentrate on her footing. A light at the end of the wooded area caught her eye through an opening in the trees. She moved quickly through the woods and towards the light, keeping a diligent eye on her surroundings. After what felt like an eternity, Nissa reached the end of the tree line and found herself on a stone path. Okay, I'm sorry. This is kind of dragging on longer than I thought it did, but okay. Nissa slowed to a jog. Oh goodness, I'm sorry. It's kind of messy in places. I'm trying to figure out. Sorry. She's looking around cautiously, and then dim blue moonlight shone through the underbrush, and blah blah blah. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. A gust of wind, a twig snapped. Something was behind her. Nissa cursed, drew a small dagger, and then spun on her heels to face whatever was behind her. Nothing. Nothing was there. After a nervous moment, she turned back around and held her dagger close with both hands. We should have brought more company, she whispered to herself, or not come at all. Despite her fears, she continued down the path. And so I'm getting kind of the gist of it down, but I'm dragging on, and I'm noticing that. Sorry. Should I just keep going?
It's up to
Yes. How long is it?
How far
I'm
are you?
almost towards the end. I'm
Okay.
almost towards the end.
So
Okay,
cool.
I'm fine.
That's not dragging on
Going.
that bad, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Despite her fear, she continued along the path. Nissa remained watchful of her surroundings. She was not gonna. Oh goodness, I'm sorry. Messy high school writing that I never went back and edited.
Stop apologizing and read. We can't
Appreciate
help you
it.
if you don't tell us what's going on.
Okay. Despite her fear, she continued down the path. Nissa was ever watchful of her surroundings. She was not going to let anything sneak up on her if she could help it. She was afraid she might not be able to stop an assailant should one appear. She did her best not to think about that. She recited a proverb through labored breath. The passage offered a brief moment of calm. She followed the path as it curved to the right. The path shifted upward. Her legs began to tire. She pushed herself towards a set of stone stairs. Once she reached the summit of the staircase, she turned briefly towards the woods. She studied it from a distance. She studied the path below to ensure nothing had followed her. As far as she could tell, nothing had. She realized if something was truly out there. I'm sorry, that's a run-on sentence. I can't read that. Immediately before her was a small patch of green that preceded a strangely wide opening in the tree line. Shortly after stepping off the final step, Nissa walked across the small patch of greenery. Wow, a lot of walking. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to go back and delete some passages here. That's fine. Walk down the quiet street, wary of waking any of the sleeping locals. She exits the woods and into the city street again. A bird cawed from above, startling her. After she regained her composure, she followed the row of houses to her left and turned toward the adjoining street. She spotted her destination, second house on the right of the narrow street. After a brief moment, she reaches the door and knocks on it softly. No one responds. Uncle Maven? She asks. Quiet. She raises to go to knock a second time, but the door swings open, revealing a slouched figure of a gruff-looking man. He appeared no more than... I'm sorry, another weird sentence. He wasn't much older than Nissa. However, his eyes told a different story. Uncle, it's me, Nissa. Something terrible has happened. My father told me to give this to you. Nissa hands her uncle the letter. The gruff-looking man looks at it skeptically before he has a chance to open the letter. A sudden look of revelation comes across his face. What's wrong? Nissa asks. Nissa's uncle looks up at her slowly, unsure of what he should say, or how he struggles to find the words. He does his best to hide his fear in his eyes. Despite his effort, Nissa can sense something is terribly wrong. Uncle Mav, what's wrong? What's going on? Nissa whispers softly. Sudden solemnness fills the air. Quiet. Why is the house quiet? Nissa thinks to herself. They're gone. They're gone. Matt, her uncle whispers. Uncle, what are you saying? And then it that's it. That's all I got. How can I fix this?
Well, first thing is fix your tenses because you were changing tense. You got some present tense and some past tense.
Yeah, I did kind of notice I was doing a lot of that.
So one of the things that would help with your writing in general when it comes to narration is to either listen to more narrative stuff or read more narrative stuff, because you've got kind of a video game thing going on where you have a very like you're very choreographed, very specific. Yeah, exactly. It's a very video gamey way of thinking. And so you need to think of this either as a story from the past that you are relaying to someone else, or you need to think of it as a script that you're writing for more present tense sort of things, right? Yeah. So that would be the first thing. I don't think that you necessarily have, like what I hear has a lot of atmosphere and a lot more that you can put into it. And you can make it scarier. You know, I read your outline and stuff, and I think that you have stuff there. What's hindering you is video game logic in the storytelling, as opposed to like either script or what's it called, narrative. Either way. But that would be the first thing to get down. Like, you can choreograph the story all day, and you can do that in video game logic. That's all outlining. As far as the actual writing goes, you may just need to, because you're a verbal processor, even with your, issues and whatever else, you may just need to tell the story as a recording, do a speech to text kind of a thing, and then refine that. Do it like you're talking to someone and telling them this story.
I kind of started boring myself with how much I was describing the walking and just walking and walking. And I was like, oh, okay, is it like,
but that doesn't have to be a bad thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Because okay, so actually, I don't want to cut off Sarah. It looks like she wanted to say something first. But...
Sarah? Oh, you mean Stephanie?
Stephanie.
It's okay.
I'm gonna jump out this window now. Excuse me.
No, I wasn't gonna say anything. I was just adjusting my stupid phone that won't cooperate. Continue.
Okay, so first of all, I had a hard time figuring out what was story and what wasn't, because you kept interrupting yourself and apologizing and being like, "Oh, this is so bad." Stop. Yes, we can't help you if you are constantly adding commentary. We know. You know it needs work. Congratulations, you've hit the first step of being a writer.
Yep.
You know that the first step of writing is editing.
Yep.
It's not like everyone thinks the first step is writing. No, the first step is editing. Writing is just getting your materials together.
Right.
So, now, what you want to, if you want, I agree with Joshua, read it out loud. And if something doesn't roll off your tongue well, obviously spoken English is different than written English.
Right.
But if you can't speak it, it might not be grammatically correct given our general English teacher level in this group, right?
Yeah.
So, if we can't say it, it's probably not grammatically correct.
This is one of the reasons I work in rhyme.
So how about this? You want to fix it? Do a couple edit passes. The first pass is just to get the grammar right. The second pass is to get the tense consistent. Then the third pass is the pass that you want us to be talking about. That is, how do we get the story from what Joshua calls video gamey. I take mild offense at that, but whatever. To narrative, to story, to character driven. I think the repetition of the walk can work.
Yes.
Because if she thinks she's being followed, then her panic will make her walk seem longer than it is. So you can create that feeling in your audience by repeating it, by and flipping into her head every once in a while. I gotta hurry up. This person behind me. Oh my gosh!
Why is this taking so long?
Why is this taking so long? Yeah. So you can reinforce your character's emotions with the narration. That's not an issue. So you say, so don't think necessarily, oh, everything I have is garbage.
Because it's not.
First, do a grammar pass. Do a tense pass. Then sit back and look at it and go, okay, am I getting the correct feeling across? A feeling pass, we'll call it. Then, once you've got those, you've got a good foundation as far as the events are concerned.
Yeah. No, I'm liking the foundation as far as the events go. It's just I feel not... I don't know where I'm at as far as wanting it to go on this long. Focusing on the traveling to the destination.
You won't know until you're not hitting roadblocks every 2 seconds.
Yeah. That's true.
There's Brenda.
Sometimes we get it all out first.
Okay.
All right.
It's all going to be recorded. My antics and my jerkness will be in perpetuum.
Anyway. But yeah.
All right, I'm gonna have to go now.
All righty.
I like that you have a good start, Daniel.
Thanks.
Don't give up.
Bye.
All right, bye.
Don't give up. Bye, Abigail. We will miss you.
All right. That's going to leave. She'll eventually leave it. Anyway. As I was gonna say, that leaves me. As far as that goes, I have a video to share. It is in the visual art channel down the side if anyone wants to go there. And if anyone wants to just mute and watch, I will put the video in now into the recording version. Yeah, there you go.
With the power of editing.
And then people can take a watch real quick if they want to. If not, you can do it later and give me feedback. But yeah, so this is where we're at. This is chapter 4 of The Rhyming Little Mermaid. And it is the Sea Witch, and it is spooky, and it is good for All Hallows Eve. So I'm going to mute, and when everyone's ready, they can just start talking. Not a problem.
4. The Sea Witch. Phineas gave Serena good directions to that lonely part of the sea. The desolate seascape all around her made her want to hide or flee. She'd never seen the sea so empty, so dark, with so little life. But she promised herself she would brave this, and if necessary, she'd fight. But she was thankful she didn't have to, as she finally approached the place where she would hopefully finally become a woman and taste of Creator's grace. The sunken ship lay there just as Phineas had said. The silk-crusted vessel was massive in size, and the bones of manfolk lay dead all around the inside of the ship. It was very much a place of death. Serena thought about turning back, but then she thought of having breath. She pushed onward into the ship and found the sorceress in a small room. The sorceress looked strange to Serena, petite, with depressed eyes from gloom. She was an old hag with wrinkly skin, and Serena could only guess what was within, the cloth covering the witch's lower half, though she didn't swim.
What do you want, pathetic being? My house is not open to you.
If you please, sorceress, I've come to
get a clue. I know exactly why you came, and my answer is, why should I? Just take your 300 years, little one. 300 years, then die.
Serena almost left right there. The sea witch was so cruel, but Phineas told her she'd have to insist.
Do you take me for a fool? I've made my decision. I am not lost. I will do this at whatever cost.
The witch grew agitated and slammed a fist on her table.
What do you have to offer me? How are you able to pay your debt to me, you poor, miserable wretch?
I can bring you riches from my royal treasure chest.
Bah, said the witch.
Riches are worth nothing.
Please, I'm not sure. Can you help me think of something?
The sea witch exhaled with an annoyed tone. Not quite a sigh, and not quite a groan.
Do you have any talents?
Yes, I have a few.
Good. Now tell me, what exact feat do you do?
I can sing.
The sea witch snapped.
Show me.
And Serena sang a song of the sea. But before she got far, the witch bid her to stop.
He isn't bad, but it's not worth a lot.
Serena bowed her head, and the witch cocked hers.
You swim gracefully. Perhaps both can incur the cost of this transaction. With ease will you part? Your voice and your grace?
With all my heart.
The witch snapped into action before Serena could have known it. With one hand, she grabbed Serena's mouth, with the other, Serena's tongue, and pulled it. She released her grip on the cheeks and then brought a knife right through the tongue with a swipe. Pain tore through Serena's body, and she stumbled back in fright. The old sea witch laughed as blood colored the water.
Here are the rules, my little daughter. You may never sing or speak again. Obvious by what I just did. 2, your grace will live on, but invisible needles will dig into the flesh and bones of your feet, so to walk is beyond masochism. These are both the price for changing an organism. And very last of all, you will still turn to foam if you do not find true love. Heaven will not be your home. And if in the true love you do fall, and your love rejects you, then that is all. You will die shortly after, and the foam of the sea will have a few more bubbles to blow aimlessly.
The witch twirled around, and Serena saw legs of menfolk under the witch's long shawl. Serena's eyes went dark as terror gripped her heart. Was this now the end, or just the very start? Hi, I'm Joshua David Ling, and I'm resurrecting epic poetry for nerds like you. Come join me at joshuadavidling.com or just about anywhere on social media.
All right, so whoever's left, thoughts and opinions on the video.
The story's creepy.
Right.
I forgot she was cursed to walk on, to feel like pins and needles are walking.
Everyone forgets that part because there's so much
I
other
was sort of
horrible things
zoned
that
out. I was sort of
Excruciating.
zoned out listening to it and the rhyming. That definitely helps me keep up, remember what's actually happening. And well, anyway, I'm in this story trance thing as I'm kind of looking at this diagram for school stuff, and all of a sudden, and the hag pulls out a knife and cuts the girl's tongue off. And I'm like, what? Okay.
That's
I don't
in
have
the
to
original
wait.
fairy tale.
Nice. I'm going to have to wake up at 4 a.m. for work tomorrow, and I think that's
Dude,
going
you
to
should
help.
get going.
Yeah, actually.
All right, bro. Well, we appreciate you being here.
Yeah, see ya.
All right, have a good night. Good rest. Anyway,
I
yeah.
don't have good like critique,
Mm-hmm.
honestly, because like, I mean,
It's AI, I know.
none.
But
Yeah, all the issues with the AI art are things you already know.
Right.
But it does what it's meant to do, and
Right.
this is meant to be listened to. Like the visuals are nice; they're a nice addition. But this is more meant to be listened to. So
Yes.
Mm.
The visuals are just supporting anyone who's still like, I don't listen to podcasts. This is lame. I won't watch television.
I want to see. I can't listen if I'm not using my eyes.
Right, exactly. Stephanie, did you have anything for me on that?
Not really any critiques or anything. I really enjoyed the whole atmosphere and vibe of it and everything. It was very delectably creepy.
It was a lot of fun to do.
Yeah, and even though we know the original story, still whenever she like pulls out her knife, I'm just all like,
yeah, it's crazy. Like that's about as violent as Hans Christian Andersen ever got. So,
yeah,
but the
it's slightly different from Disney.
unless you count the tin soldier melting, but you know. But I mean that's a whole different biology. We don't really get it. So, but yeah. So, all right. Well, everybody who's listening, be your family's bard. Do not turn to the right or to the left, and the Lord will be with you wherever you go. We'll see you next time in the trenches on Poets at War, and we go and stop recording.
This is the Broodcast, Inkling-style Discord chat, last Friday of every month. To join, go to joshuadavidling.com/Discord.